You know, every organization has an org chart, right? And a mission statement. But the real work, the actual culture, well, that happens somewhere else entirely. It's in those undocumented spaces between people, policies, and power. So today, we're going to dive into this hidden dimension and explore a new operating system designed to completely transform it.
So here's what we've got on tap. First, we're going to define this gray space where all the dysfunction seems to grow. Then, we'll introduce the stability solution and the operating system that actually builds it. After that, we'll see how it all works in action, and finally, how you measure the results, something called the thriving dividend.
All right, first up, let's uncover this gray space. Now, this isn't about the loud, obvious conflicts you can see. No, this is about the subtle stuff, the unwritten rules and the blind spots that really decide whether an organization is healthy or not.
So the big question is, where does it really hide? Well, it's not in plain sight. It's not usually in the C-suite or on the factory floor. It hides in the ambiguities, in the silences, and in those unset expectations that, everyone just seems to understand. And that, right there, that's the gray space. It's this messy intersection of our behaviors, our company's structure, and what leaders just can't or maybe won't see. It's the place where these subtle problems just fester and turn into major drains on energy and performance. It really breaks down into 4 big areas. Okay, first up, we've got subtle toxicity. This isn't your typical shouting match. In our hybrid world, it's a lot quieter. Think about it. A passive-aggressive email, a backhanded compliment on a Zoom call, or even gaslighting that makes someone doubt their own reality. And the crazy thing is, it's almost impossible to prove, but it eats away at trust day by day.
Next, there's a huge one, leadership blind spots. A lot of the time, senior leaders have absolutely no idea what's really going on. And why is that? It's because middle managers are so busy managing up, filtering out bad news, playing politics, and just painting a rosy picture to keep their bosses happy. And what you get is this massive gap between the reality on the ground and what the boardroom thinks is the source of truth.
And then there's structural ambiguity. Honestly, this is where so many problems really begin. When you don't even know what success in your role looks like, or when you're expected to be available 24/7 and that line between work and life gets totally blurred, well, it just creates chronic stress. And this isn't a personal failing. It's a design flaw in the system itself.
And finally, number 4 is the messiness that just comes with change. When a company tries to shift its culture, let's say from top-down control to more collaboration, a lot of managers can feel threatened. They're being told to give up power, right? But for what? The benefit isn't immediately obvious, and that uncertainty makes them resist, which can stall the entire transformation. All right, so we've spent some time in the weeds, right? We've diagnosed the problem in the gray space. So what's the fix? Well, the answer isn't just another program. It's a completely new way to think about performance.
It's this idea called stagility. And it's such a simple but really powerful idea. To succeed today, you can't just be fast and agile. You also need a deep foundation of stability. Stagility is all about finding that strategic balance between the two. The best way to think about it is like this. Stability is the foundation. It's the psychological safety and trust that gives people the confidence to take risks. And that stable foundation, that's what makes agility, the innovation and responsiveness, the rocket launch, even possible. You really can't have one without the other.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually build stagility into the DNA of a company? Well, that's where the human-centric leadership model, or HLM, comes in. Think of it as the practical operating system for this whole new approach. And I gotta stress this. This is not just another HR program that's gonna fade away. This is a core business strategy. It's a full-on operational upgrade designed to turn human energy into financial value and to do it faster and more sustainably than your competition. So how does it work? Well, it follows this really clear 4-step path. You start by diagnosing the hidden issues using real data. Then, you move on to redesigning how work actually gets done. After that, you implement new ways of governing that empower people. And finally, you focus on developing a new breed of leader who can keep the whole system running.
All right, now for the really cool part. How does this actually play out in a real business? Let's shift from the what to the how and look at some practical ways to use this.
This next analogy is fantastic. I love this. The diagnostic phase is like an organizational MRI. We're not guessing anymore. It uses data to precisely measure the things that truly matter, but are usually invisible. Things like psychological safety and a person's sense of agency at work.
And check out this table, because it lays it all out so clearly. you can see exactly how each action connects a business outcome with a human outcome. For example, better diagnostics. That predicts financial risk for the business, but for your people, that means increased psychological safety. Redesigning operations optimizes your human capital ROI, sure, but it also reduces that feeling of digital exhaustion. It's a win-win.
So you might be thinking, okay, but when would I actually use this? Well, you'd use it during a merger to pinpoint cultural weak spots before they become huge problems. You'd use it to get ahead of things like quiet quitting. You'd use it to automate the boring, repetitive work so your people can focus on what really matters. And you'd use it to hire leaders who are architects of safety, not those brilliant drex that destroy teams.
And all of this brings us to the final and maybe most important piece of the puzzle, the bottom line impact. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about feeling good. It's about creating real, tangible, measurable value. The ultimate goal here is to finally connect the dots between how your people feel and how your business performs. And the way to do that is with a new metric, the Human Capital Return on Investment, or HCROI. It's all about proving that cleaning up that gray space and building a thriving culture directly drives financial results. So let's look at the actual math that makes this real. It starts with a pretty standard financial ratio, profit over compensation. But then it adds this game-changing new variable, the thriving multiplier. Just think of this as a culture score for your company, a single number that quantifies the health, trust, and psychological safety of your entire organization. And here it is. This is the payoff. Organizations that really commit to these principles see their thriving multiplier jump by 20 to 30%. What does that mean? It means every single dollar you invest in your people works harder for you. It's a direct, undeniable link from culture to cash flow. So let's wrap up with this one big question. In a world of constant change and ambiguity, just surviving, well, it isn't enough anymore. The real competitive advantage, the secret sauce, is in building an organization that is intentionally designed to help its people thrive. The only question left is, which one are you building?